Oh, that's good.
Well, Dennis, how are you doing in this apocalypse?
Better now.
It's apocalypse hour.
Oh, it's AH.
And
Oh my word! Oh, it's been we're hunkered down. We're hunkered down. I'm high risk, and we are stored up with water, coffee. I bought a huge containers of my two staples: coffee and fish. That's what I live on.
You're a simple man.
Simple, not together though.
Ah.
And ordered my prescriptions and went to the grocery store and kept my social distance. And here we are. And you are locked down in Spain.
Total lockdown.
You've become now not number one behind or number two behind Italy in cases. Or there's some data showing you are worse than anybody else has been in Spain, whether it's the rapidity of the escalation or the something else. Who knows? They measure a bunch of stuff. Could be morbidity. If that's the case, I mean, you're homebound, right?
I'm definitely the worst. But yes, we are. We cannot leave the house. We can only leave the house for groceries, work, pharmacy, or doctor.
And you're still allowed to work.
Yes. People that are essential services.
First responders
have to work. Yeah, first responders. I mean, the people that are running the grocery stores. But all the bars and restaurants are closed down. There's no social, nothing happening out there.
So did you see the crowds gathered in Chicago, New Orleans, everywhere for St. Patty's Day? In spite of all the parades being canceled, they showed up by the thousands. And the new polling out, the shock of shocks, that shows, I wonder where you get your news from, shows that Republicans, less than 40%, think this is really serious, as opposed to Democrats, that it's 83%. Now, I wonder...
I guess which demographics are more at risk?
I just wonder. Is it the fat man at the helm who's become such a caricature of himself? Instead of doing political cartoons, they're just showing his face. I mean, I
laugh every time.
It's showing his face like he says, I take no responsibility. Obama did that. So he said, you did notice that Obama has been president for 3.5 years. I didn't do it. I didn't disband the fast response team out of NRC. I didn't do that. Somebody might have done that. I don't know. I got a lot of people. And then he turns to Dr. Fauci and says, do you want to comment? And Fauci puts his hands up in the air like this and says, I don't know. On a talk show last night, when Fauci, or yesterday, Sunday, when Fauci was asked, what are all these regulations that the president is talking about that they had to fight through, and why were those things that they couldn't just force through because of the emergency? And you know what Fauci said? He said, I've been trying to figure that out too. I don't have any idea what they're talking about when it comes to that, and nor am I going to take the time to figure it out. I'm only focused on looking ahead. I want to talk to you about what we're going to do tomorrow. And it's Wow. Yeah. President. If he ran for president, he'd be better than Trump, who's going to get creamed.
Well, my other favorite story around this is where Trump said, don't worry, everybody. Google is building a website that's going to track all of this stuff. And then Google released a statement saying, I don't know what he's talking about. We're not doing that. We haven't said we're going to do that. They could do that, but they aren't.
Well, if quite specifically, they said, we are, in fact, developing a pilot to be tested in the Bay Area. But beyond that, of course, it might have future applications. But it was like, so that's the fact. And then he ended up holding up, and there's a shot of this, a printout with a paragraph with a Google mark on it, and then another paragraph with another Google mark. And apparently, he billed it as an apology from Google for miscommunicating in some way to him, because he certainly couldn't have been wrong.
Right.
I mean, you hear the stories of what the North Korean president, his whole shtick is about he doesn't defecate.
Right.
He's been a marksman since he was 7 months old.
Every time he plays golf, he scores an 18.
Yeah. Right. So Trump's like, yeah.
That sounds like something I want to do and be.
The guy who sent me love letters. Yeah. Oh, the most beautiful letters. Love letters. What? And so he's the perfectly worst possible leader
for a crisis.
For the worst possible time.
Right.
And I said to my wife, when I said, she said, "Don't you say that." I said, "This is God's way of cleansing the earth of Trump. God doesn't want him to possibly win the election either. This seals the deal." And she started saying like, "No, don't say that."
Maybe.
And I said, "Yeah, you know what's next? Freaking grasshoppers and locusts, pestilence. This is unleashed upon our earth. He is the Antichrist. He will be stopped."
Yeah, I saw a Google an internet meme today where it was some painting of God, and the caption was, "No, you misheard me. I didn't say that the apocalypse was going to be hailed by trumpets. I said it was going to be hailed by Trump Pence." Shit, that's kind of clever.
Yeah.
Well,
so I love it when Pence goes up to the mic, and he reminds me, and in fact looks quite a bit like any mannequin you've ever seen of a 64-year-old man with gray hair. He looks exactly like the mannequin. He dresses just like the mannequin. And when he's listening to Trump, he has this way of tilting his head to the left, back a little bit, and he's decided, and his handlers have decided, that it is exactly the right cocking of the head to show not just obedience and loyalty,
and adoration,
but fucking awe.
Right.
So when
he's a puppy dog.
When he has to robot up, chick, 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 to the mic, you can hear the machinery clicking, and he's got to get out of that head thing. It's almost like he's forgotten how to use his head. And so somebody asks him a question, and he like, you pull a lever on the back of his head, and he says, "This is all because of Trump. I love Donald Trump. This was his decision. I am nothing but a vessel. He fills my every pore." This is what he looks like. He's like a wind-up fucking toy. Whack, whack, whack. "I love Trump. Oh, he did this. You must know. Oh, ho, ho. Oh, fuck. We're in trouble, man."
What must his inner life be like to, just in his theology and his marriage and his job and his place in the world and his pride at being so high in power, but also being in the job that doesn't really have all that much power. Just what?
So the
I want to read his diary.
The diagnosis is that he's a narcissist. So when you answer all those Trump.
Okay. Oh, of course.
When you answer all those questions through that lens, the only answer you're going to get time and time again is either it doesn't matter or it's all about him.
Right. No,
theology.
Yeah. Right? No. I was imagining being in Pence's head.
In Pence's head, which is why you mentioned theology. But yeah. Well, and so in this
Trump
case,
has no theology. Trump believes if there is a God, it is him.
So you can imagine that Pence prays on stuff, and what the voice in his head says is, God says to him, "If you ever want to be president, this is your only path forward." And from that point forward, he says, "Thank you, Lord." And then he goes and asks his wife to wind him up again so he can go off to fucking work. Click, 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 click.
Yeah, wow. What a bummer fucking occasion. Dennis, my friend.
Yes. I know what you're
Happy birthday, my friend.
Happy birthday, my man.
52 fucking episodes of this shit.
52 episodes. Wow. Right.
One whole year.
1 year's
52 weeks
worth
of just doing this.
So
this is.
That means that if I was going to start singing what may be our theme song right now,
if you were,
I would say 206 bottles of beer in the wall, 206 bottles of beer. Take one down and pass it around. 205 bottles of beer in the wall. 205 bottles of beer in the wall.
Where did that number come from?
Bottles of beer. 3 beers for all these beer, all 52 times the number of beers.
52 times what is 206?
What's X? Yes.
Yeah, close.
I've been keeping track. I got little etch marks on my wall.
Oh, if sometimes you have 4 and sometimes you have 3 for each episode, then that might be.
Well, no, let's not characterize it that way.
Well, let's not characterize that.
Let's not characterize it at all. You didn't join in with the song. No, I'm a little bit taken aback.
I was confused where the hell you were on your 206.
Right. I had every intention of singing the entire thing and taking up the whole rest of the episode. I think that'd be hilarious.
That would be.
And you'd be interrupting the whole time, and I wouldn't stop.
Right.
And you just.
Well, why did you stop when I interrupted you? If that was your plan.
Well, because I hadn't committed to it.
Oh well, There's your problem. Lack of commitment.
If you were singing with me, I would have committed to it. Then we could have, because you would have lasted no more than 3 beers, and then you would have wanted to stop. If 3, maybe just 2. You wouldn't sing more than 2 verses. I know you.
That sounds like me. I'm not big into the marathon song competitions.
All I can tell you is this: there's a sign on my wall that says "Iterations speak volumes." So think about that.
Yes. Well, as a computer programmer, I do think a lot about iteration and looping and doing the same thing and decrementing a number, as is the algorithm.
So imagine that, being the college basketball sports fanatic I am, that not only was the Big Ten tournament canceled, but the NCAA and the stuff that's happening. These computer guys got together and said, you know what? We picked a bracket and we're going to simulate every game. And they did it like overnight. And then they produced the results. And they said that Dayton was the Cinderella winner. And then another simulator did it in a different manner and said that Kansas was the winner.
Of course, but
number one.
The bookies do that every year. Like, sure.
Well, right.
Stuff.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. The program's ready.
But the whole, like, you don't watch sports to be told with a press of a button, this is the final score. And then you get excited, like, okay, what's the next game? Okay, this is the final score. Right. Like, that's stupid.
Right.
We watch sports for the drama and the chance and the undecidedness and unpredictability of the outcome.
So Augusta's been postponed. Jack Nicklaus came out. Is a good quote that says, you know what, that ain't gonna. It's done. We're not going to have a Masters this year. How can you possibly try to fit in?
Yeah, let's have the Masters in November.
October.
Right.
And how does that completely disrupt the entire calendar? You can't. Augusta can't say, well, in one sense he did say this. I'm saying this. You can't. Augusta in one sense can't want to lose their money.
Right.
Well, then whose money's going to be lost? Because you're going to have to shuffle all sorts of shit. I don't know if Augusta there's no break the week before or the week after Augusta, so it would just be one. Huh?
I mean, for the
Masters, no extra.
They shut down Augusta before the Masters for a couple weeks, I think.
I mean in terms of the other championships, the other games. There's no extra preparation time.
Oh, no.
Is there?
No. So they, there's going to be so much. There's going to be a lot of money lost by the people that normally take money from people that go to large gatherings, like all the sport, like the NBA or ESPN, and all those guys are going to lose a bunch of money. But on the other hand, that's money that's going to stay in the pockets of the people that would have spent it, but
nowhere to spend it except on the stuff that they used to use their paycheck for. So it's a loss. It's a net loss.
Yes, for sure. And
for people on the lower economic strata anyway.
Right. And all of these canceled events are going to mean not employing all these lower economic hourly jobs, and that means that they're not going to have that. They're not going to have an income, and it's going to be a big clusterfuck.
Well, and it'll never come back. I mean, think of the recording artists who make their money through concerts because music is all streamed now. It's not like you're selling records.
Right.
It's not like you have a number one record.
Those guys are going to lose a whole bunch of money, and
they could lose. They could lose the ability to do the work. Right. They could lose their houses. I mean, one of the things is, and of course, not everybody has a house. But there's plenty of middle Americans who have mortgage payments, percentage-wise, and or rent, and so the banks need to say, you know what, you get to skip the next 3 mortgage payments with no penalty.
Yeah.
It'll extend instead of a 25-year note, it'll be a 28-year note. We won't charge you interest. You just get to skip 3 payments. Credit unions have skip a payments program sometimes certainly once a year, sometimes twice a year, where they do the same thing because it is, after all, up to the bank. It's a policy.
Huh.
And so
is that a thing that they would do, though? I always think of the banks as trying to screw the little guys.
They don't lose any money. They win a lot of public regard. And at some point, the question is going to be, when are the banks going to step up?
Right.
And the same would be landlords, not so much. But the idea would be, as what's his ass, Mitt Romney said today, is that he supports a $1,000 check being mailed to every American, and which helps everybody but the homeless and immigrants, which means that you're missing millions of people. But there's other things that can be done for them. But this type of money in the pocket of the consumer.
The check is coming from the government to
you.
Right. Which, right.
Not like FDR after his creation of all these public jobs. This isn't about getting jobs to people because they can't congregate.
Right. Exactly.
And so it's total relief. And in the debate that, dates this a bit, but, it was the 1-1 Sanders and Biden debate, which is a matter of historical significance. It's the first debate of its kind ever.
Right.
And may end up being the only kind of its debate ever, certainly within the context of the environment of this pandemic. It makes it different. That will never be replicated. But it was very interesting how Biden came in rested, sharp for the full 2 hours. He looked great. Bernie, as I said, I wrote to my wife. She was upstairs. She wouldn't watch it because she was afraid they'd argue too much. Was that, Biden looks like a president and Bernie Sanders looks like a senator, And one of the things that Biden's people had him ready for, and it was masterful. They knew, of course, that Bernie was going to start spouting off about how the COVID-19 pandemic was, of course, let's talk about my big thing, right? Medicare for all, which he's never been able to even rustle up a majority of his own party to pass in any meaningful way. But that's what I want. And Biden turned on him and said, let me be clear about this. This has nothing to do with that. Go to my website, read my plan. Everybody gets everything they need right now for free, and we pay for it. Healthcare doesn't come into it. Insurance doesn't come into it. I need to focus on it. When this crisis is over, then we can start thinking about that and thinking about the people who are disparately poor and incredibly important things that we need to address. But for now, we need to fix it. So I don't want to waste time talking about that. Sanders, I swear, did not recover quickly from that.
Wow. But yeah, I mean, what he means is that, let's fund this recovery so then we can get back to having the insurance companies rule everything because, I mean, he's very much status quo Wall Street, pro-Wall Street dude compared to Bernie.
But his plan, as we've discussed in general about a lot of these plans, is more realistic because it extends Obamacare, fixes it, extends it. Now, there is a path with the proper administrative guidance, not so much for the next 4 years, because it'll take all of 4 years to do the kinds of things that you can do to broaden that coverage without radically altering anything. That's when the new generation comes in. Imagine that who Biden is picking for his running mate is hopefully the next president of the United States, according to the Democratic Party. And so the woman who he picks, which is this other thing that he knocked it out of the ballpark.
Apparently that's unprecedented for someone to narrow down the fact that these are the properties of the person I'm going to pick.
You know what Sanders said? Well, I'm leaning in that direction, and he equivocated, and his people, unprepared for this announcement, but prepared to say exactly what he did say, that he's leaning in that direction or whatever.
Right.
But what they don't realize is that means he could have blunted the headlines. The headlines would have said both candidates pledge women, and instead it said Biden does, because Bernie didn't say the simple thing, which is yes.
Right.
He's too fucking smart for his own good. And was he being honest? That's great, Bernie. How you doing with that honesty thing? And now the one state out of the ones coming up, Arizona, which had some possibility, all the 4 states had Biden winning, but except for Arizona by wide margins, 10, 12, 15 before the debate. They haven't polled again since the debate, except for Arizona, where it was closer. Now it's 51 Biden, 31 Sanders. It's going to be Sanders will have no choice as a national leader to say, look, given the environment we're in, I want to support making all of the voting for the rest of the election mail-in, which require us to move all of our primaries to the end of the political year. Yep. And in order to pave the pathway for that, I'm going to go ahead and support Joe Biden. And I'm going to do and just move on. He'll be, it would be heroic for him to do that. If he stays on like he stayed on against Hillary and ended up hurting her, but Biden's no Hillary. They genuinely like each other. I mean, they do the elbow bump in the beginning of it, and at one point, Biden was saying how he went into, I agree with you now, and about the college, paying off college tuition, and I see the sense of that. Working with Elizabeth Warren on that, and so Bernie says, so you've changed your mind? It's, well, yeah, I have. I've changed my mind, and it's a progressive idea that you've championed.
Right.
And he did that with 2 different things, and then in a self-deprecating and humorous way. Whenever Bernie gets done talking and he's ready to answer the next question, Biden looks at the table of the questioners and says, and he asks him a question about some, his new proposals on something or other, and he says, well, I'm trying to give Bernie all this credit for some of the stuff he's done, and he just won't take it. And then he smiled real big. It made Bernie laugh. It made the two people laugh.
Right.
And I turned to my wife and I said, "That's the next president of the United States."
Wow.
Right there. And the pundits tore into him because he, as it went on, and I ditched out the last half hour. It was our anniversary. 45 years, by the way. Holy shit.
Congratulations.
Holy shit. Toast to that. Yeah.
That's how many presidents we've had.
Yeah.
Well, hold on.
45.
My drink has gone dry.
Oh, no. What are you drinking, rye?
Rye not. No. Rye not is because there is no rye in Spain.
Oh, boy. Red label. Uh-huh.
Little J-dubs. Yes, well, 45 years. Holy shit. That's a long time. Congratulations. I mean, that's 45
7 miles.
That's 45 years
miles.
Longer than 45 times as long as this podcast has been around. So
that's right. We walked 7 miles through the Asylum Lake here in Kalamazoo and ended up at Martell's for our honeymoon-esque anniversary. And I must report, we sat in a very nice, bright window overlooking the pond where the fish swim and the beautiful outlying park area where the restaurant sits. And we were in this restaurant that seats about 200, the only people.
I was going to say, you're sort of breaking the curfew.
No, we were the first people in the place, and we had no more than 3 foot. The only person who came within 3 feet of us was the server, who should have stayed a little bit further away. But
even so, but I guess for your 45th anniversary, maybe fine. But
and we knew this, and we said this, and we toasted. This is the last time we'll go to a restaurant in who knows how long.
Right.
And and so that was the fact, and and lots of.
It could be another 45 years until we can go into restaurants.
We'll have been married 90 years. I'll only be 120.
Well, maybe with when they come up with when Trump comes up with a cure.
When this vaccine comes in, maybe it'll make you live longer.
Great.
I mean, beyond your regular life.
Yes, that'll be good for the Republican Party. Yeah, well, congrats on that. I went to the grocery store today, and they did not allow me to go in. I came into the door, and there was just the checkout area, and everything else was blocked off. And there was a person there asking me, "Okay, tell me what you want. I'll go fetch every single item that you tell me, and put it in a basket, and you can pay for it and leave." But
really?
they didn't want anyone going inside or touching anything or anything, and everything was all wiped down, and there were spray bottles, and everyone had gloves on, and it was just like, holy shit, this is real. And it occurred to me the other day that this is one of those turning points in history where there's a before and there's an after, and it's much like. However, the other turning points that come to mind that I want to reference, like Pearl Harbor or the JFK assassination or 9/11, those were all singular events that you receive the news and then you realize that everything had changed. But this is a season that we're going through. This is several months. But my 6-year-old that's going to turn 7 during this time will 30 years from now, if we survive, will be able to talk to his friends and say, like, do you remember the spring of 2020? How fucked up that was? How we all had to stay at home? And this is a thing that is occurring in our lifetimes.
Country, the drip, 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 based on a lack of national policy, based on the fact that there's a fucking idiot as president of the United States, is the drip, 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 because each governor is deciding in and of themselves. And here in Michigan, we have not had a death. We have not had in this county even a positive test yet. So we're very, very, very fortunate.
Well, the best way to not have a positive test?
Don't go anywhere.
Not test anybody.
Oh, that's an idea. Hey, well, if it was me, I'd just like to keep them on the ship. Yeah, I like when my numbers.
The whole problem with this thing is nobody has the numbers because no one has the crucial denominator. The number that goes underneath the fraction to say there were 7 deaths out of how many? Oh, we don't know. So,
but when you look at the China data and you look at the South Korean data,
which is the only data that we have so far, really,
what you see is more homogenous data because they're more homogenous society as opposed to ours, which is very, very in the United States, very, very different,
heterogeneous
from these populations. So it's only somewhat telling, but it is in fact all we have, as we say in the data world. Well, it is what it is. I mean, You got to use the best. You got to, if the only data you have is faulty, you got to use it, and then you lay out what the caveats are.
Right.
Dot.
And you put your error. No, the margin of error. This is
right.
This is our estimate, right. Plus or minus 7% or whatever, which is different from plus or minus 20%.
Which
would be terrifying.
Who knows what those spreads are, but they're big.
Right.
But it's unlike anything I've certainly ever experienced. Everyone in this country is saying that. Everyone in Spain is saying this, unless they were around during the fucking Black Plague.
Well, I mean, the closest analogy, which we hope it doesn't get to that level, was
swine flu
100 years ago. No, 100 years ago with what they call the Spanish flu.
The Spanish
in 1919, and that left my grandfather was orphaned, I think, by the 1919 flu.
What were the death levels there?
That was one of the biggest recent ones. Hold on, beep boop boop beep boop. The Spanish flu infected 500 million people around the world, or 27% of the world population. 27%, and the death toll was 17 million to 50 million.
Oh, God.
So,
17 to 50?
Yeah, it's one of the deadliest epidemics in human history.
Well, why such a range?
Because data, man, measurement is hard.
17 to 50?
That's what Wikipedia says, man.
That seems crazy to me.
So
seems crazy.
I very cautiously asked my Spanish bride yesterday, so why did they call that the Spanish flu back then? And she told me, and I haven't looked this up yet, but I love the spin. Was that everyone else was in the middle of a world war, and Spain was the one that really sounded the alarm that, like, holy shit, there's a big thing happening here. And that was one of the, and as such, they threw the messenger under the bus and said, "Oh, well, we'll call this the Spanish flu."
Oh boy!
But that was the biggest pandemic. Let's see. Let me read briefly. Quoth Wikipedia. To maintain morale, wartime censors minimized the early reports of the illness and mortality in Germany, the United Kingdom, France, and the United States. Papers were free to report the epidemic's effects in neutral Spain, such as the grave illness of King Alonso XIII. These stories created a false impression that Spain was especially hard hit, giving rise to the pandemic's name, Spanish flu. Once again, my better half was correct.
Right, much better half. Probably better 3/4.
Well,
you don't deserve half that space.
Yes. So
I've never even met her.
No, but you've met me, so you understand how much space there is to fill.
I understand you as and I wouldn't be surprised if you're one of those guys that when people get near you, they somehow become dimmer. You're like the cooler at a casino who touches people and they lose their luck. Well, when you touch people and you get near people, they become addled, more addled than whatever level of addle they are. They become more addled because you have that effect on people. You're like a black hole of fucking personality.
Ergo, social distancing. The people around me are going to be so much brighter now.
From you, they're going to say, hey, wait a minute.
I don't feel as stupid as I did before when I was near Eric.
Wow, it's like what's his name? John Travolta's character in that great movie where he gets struck by lightning and becomes smarter and smarter.
Yes.
Oh, that's a great movie. His name is Walter. Was the character's name Walter?
The primary song was by Eric Clapton. Discography. Good Lord, I don't want to see John Travolta's discography. Beep, 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 bloop, beep, bloop.
Was the great actor
I got it.
Robert Duvall played Doc.
Yes.
Was it Walter?
The film you are trying to recall. It's such a weird phenomenon when we can't really guess the name of these films.
Phenomenon.
The name of this film is Phenomenon.
Phenomenon. Yes.
What a quirky film.
What was the name of the John Travolta's character? Walter?
George Malley.
George Malley.
There is no Walter.
No, okay. He was pretty remarkable in that. Almost as remarkable as the other movie. One of my favorite, if not the, was Michael, when he played the angel.
The Archangel.
Michael.
Yep.
Not the Archangel. It would be Gabriel. This is the angel. He didn't go to hell and turn into Satan.
Which was the same year. The film stars John Travolta as the Archangel Michael.
Oh my God!
Oh,
do I have the wrong meaning of Archangel? I must.
Wow.
Wikipedia, come to us. What's Archangel mean?
Turns out your Catholic slap didn't really land. Archangel must be linked here somewhere. The Book of Revelation describes the war in heaven in which Michael, being stronger, defeats Satan. After the conflict, Satan is thrown to earth along with the fallen angels, where he, that ancient serpent called the devil, in quotes, still tries to lead the whole world astray. Michael, in Epistle of Jude, chapter 1, verse 7, Michael is referred to as the Archangel when he again confronts Satan. The reference to Archangel first appears in the first epistle of Thessalonians 4:16, blah, 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 Jesus is Lord. Yep.
What's a designation mean? A higher order? Arch would be of higher order somehow? Or?
Well, I mean, I have enemies, but I mean, you're my arch enemy, so yes.
Arch enemy. Go ahead.
An archangel is an angel of high rank. The word archangel itself usually associated with the Abrahamic religions, but beings that are very similar to archangels are found in numerous religions around the world. So,
well, hey, here's to archangels everywhere, and we got
especially
we
those
each got one. We each got one in our shoulder, buddy.
Well, I've got an archdevil on my shoulder too. So, cheers.
So yeah, so we're in for.
Clink.
You can't say cheers and not drink.
I was clinking with my fingernail on the glass. You hear that? There you go.
So you know what I was thinking of earlier?
Who could possibly guess?
I went to the Chelsea drugstore.
Yeah.
When you were talking about the getting there in the line, and I thought there's a song in there.
Yep.
To get my fair fill.
Prescription fill. Drugstore.
Well, we have the license to change the words, of course, to the current circumstance.
You would think that Mick would use the word chemist or apothecary or something, not drugstore. But maybe that was after he had been Americanized. They don't say drugstore in the UK.
No, what do they call it? Apothecary?
Or a chemist is more popular.
A chemist?
A chemist. I went to the...
Apothecary? How you get the apothecary down in the full script?
I went to the Chelsie Chemist.
I went to the Chelsea Apothecary.
Yeah, didn't have the same ring.
So did you see the concluding show of The Outsider?
No, I've been so
busy.
My free time.
Busy recovering.
Well, and also now there's no school, and I'm sort of full-time parenting and stuff and such. So
is your wife going to work?
She is, because she is providing an important service. She works at a milk factory, providing milk for other people, and
gotta have it.
Yeah, except that the owner of the factory came to her today and said, "Look, there's a possibility that the military would come in and say, look, we have to have this factory running
24/7.
24/7, and we have to quarantine you here, and you're not allowed to go home anymore."
Oh my God!
Wouldn't that be just the darkest sort of thing of being told by someone with an assault rifle, no, you can't go home anymore. You're gonna have to live at your work and keep these gears turning. Just
holy shit!
Exactly.
Holy shit!
So, but she's going to work from home for 2 days next week, and we hope that happens during one of those days. But I don't know.
So here's a quirky story or two in the news. One COVID related, one not.
Please. Anything other than this.
But even the other one has a COVID angle to it. But the first one is that Bill de Blasio, the mayor of New York City, has been on fire in interviews. And he has been the one to call to arms under the leadership in some regards of Governor Cuomo of New York, who is a leader amongst governors getting ahead of this and the first to quarantine an entire community. And now he's calling for hospital beds and the Army and FEMA to take these things over and for it to be a declaration of war. And de Blasio is echoing that and saying it in a New York City version of the same type of thing.
Sure.
And so, they took a picture of him and a video of him going to the YMCA this morning. He wanted to get one more workout in before it closed.
Rye, Bill. Rye.
Rye, man.
The Rye MCA.
The Rye.
That's where you should be going.
Rye MCA. The Rye MCA.
Yeah, I totally feel that. I just want to get one more thing in before the gates close. But you're that's no
I went
matter
to the
what.
Y and empty. Yeah.
That's a bad thing. You shouldn't.
I went to the Y and emptied my locker. I didn't get anywhere near within 6 feet of everybody. Washed my hands. Out. Done. That's it.
Yeah.
It was closing down 3 o'clock. Governor announced it today. All the bars after the St. Patty's debacle.
Debacle?
Yeah, where the recommendation was don't do it.
No. I'm just curious about your pronunciation of debacle.
As opposed to debacle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think either one is appropriate.
You're still
You
weird.
can look it up. Look it up now.
You're still weird.
Go ahead.
No, I know the...
Bishop debacle. I was on my way to the apothecary, and all of a sudden, a car hit a bus, and the bus spun toward me. It was quite the debacle.
Exactly. See? What's the other story?
Of the politician down in Florida, Gillum, who narrowly lost the governorship, who was found in a hotel room with a man that had overdosed on a hard drug. I can't remember if it was, I think it might have been cocaine or heroin, one of the two. And when they got to the scene, the former mayor, I guess he's a former mayor, was drunk, totally inebriated. And so he issued his first statement he issued was that he was glad to have been able to help his friend after they had been at a party together, and he kind of discovered him, or implied he kind of found him, and he was almost like maybe even part of the rescue or whatever. He himself had been drinking, right? And then the next day, his next statement was, "I've decided to drop out of public life and go into rehab. See you around." Another rising star.
I will look that up in the show notes, for the show notes.
And then the pandemic connection.
Yes.
Was that the Twitter was, don't think he was practicing good social distancing.
Well, not unlike how they just had that big party at Mar-a-Lago where it was just this hotbed of coronavirus. Right. Just like
the press conference is Friday. It was the last time they had one, and they have the entire team, right? And now they trot out not only all the executives who he's shaking their hand,
right,
and they're all crammed in behind him, and then that seemed to be, that was earlier in the week, and then they have another one Friday, but this time they trot out all these guys who are like first healthcare responders, all dressed in blue, kind of fatigue, got an army look about them. They're all next to each other. They're so close.
Who should we most infect?
They're having
the
to turn
people
sideways to be able to fit in the frame.
Jesus.
They're breathing down each other's neck. And he is introducing them. They have no other fucking purpose other than a PR prop for fucking Robot Pence and our chief executive fucking idiot. And they're spreading the shit on the stage with not only, and who else do they trot out? There's Fauci standing there nervously. What's he doing? He's rubbing his face. He's so upset. He wants to be somewhere else. He's listening to this, and they're making him be there. What if Fauci got sick and died? What would we do? It's unbelievable. Birx is there, the second in command, another credible public figure here in the health arena, and she's cramming everybody too, and they're all nodding their head solemnly, and to all the truth that's being spouted. It's and no policy. The Trump is over-recorded, and now the recording is released, where he's got governors on the phone. And after saying at the press conference, the supply lines are starting, there'll be enough respirators, enough hospital beds for everybody, he says to the governors, and I quote, "You're going to need to get your own. If you can get them, get them. You're closer to the manufacturer, you get them."
Oh, so
walking back.
This is but this is showing that he's conscious of what the truth is, as opposed to what he would like the truth to be, which is
he's not totally a sociopath,
which is impressive.
Mostly.
Like this is news to me. I'm very impressed. Well done, Donald, for not being total sociopath.
Right. Well, it's just, and what Sanders said at the debate yesterday, which was remarkably lean of commentary against Trump, and the one place that Biden let me down, I'll come back to that. But what Sanders said was, I'll tell you what we need to do. The first thing we need to do is we need to put a muzzle on this president and keep him from talking to anybody and let the science professionals do the work. That's the first thing we need to do. And in the other audience, he would have got the applause. But that was one of the rare occasions. But that was a good, smart thing to say about how he might address Trump. But where Biden missed the mark was in the second half, they started talking about his record. And Bernie started getting relentless, which jarred Biden. He got caught into it. And they ended up debating stuff that the American people don't care about. Right. We don't care what happened 20 years ago with something called the fucking Hyde Amendment.
Right.
Are you kidding me? We're worried that our grandparents are going to die. The Hyde Amendment? What is your position now, Joe? What he should have said was that. He should have said, Bernie, I could spend the next 10 minutes debating you because at the end of the day, you're wrong. And you're talking about me in the height of negotiations, saying that certain things at the table as a strategy with no intention, as the record shows, of ever voting for it. But I'm not going to go there in my minute that I get because I don't care about what happened there. Let me tell you my position, and let me tell you how I'm going to talk to Donald Trump about this and take the next 45 seconds of the minute that's left to be a very concise attack on Trump. If he would have done that every single time that Bernie started talking about his record, not in a denying fashion, but just repeating it. After he said it for the third time, he then could have added to it, I don't know what it's going to take for you to understand. I am not going to spend this time in front of the American people debating stuff that may have been my position or maybe not was my position because it doesn't matter anymore. Here's my position today. Again and again and again. Let's unite against Trump, Bernie. If he would have done that, and this is the thing I don't understand. How is it that I'm a dumb fuck, and I sit here and I know this, and when I say this to you, you know this, and we could talk to any number of people. We could each talk to 5 or 6 people and say this to them, and they'd say, absolutely, I had thought of that too, or whatever. How come we know this, but his people don't know this, or he doesn't know this? I know why he doesn't know, because he's in the moment. That's not his. It's not his job to come up with very out of body strategies.
Right.
That's why he hires people.
Yeah, what I heard about his performance was very much that he slipped into his rut of talking points that are the backbone of his character. And as you say this, and other commentators I've heard about the debate, it's this whole thing of attacking past Joe's votes and opinions and stuff, and having Joe just say, "Yeah, well, I changed on that." It feels very much. Right. It feels very much like that martial art judo, where you're using your enemy's attack momentum on them and just sort of turn away and let them fall.
Bernie did pivot there. He ended up saying, and because Joe had suffered from being, taken in and trapped by this thing, one of the things he said, that's the characteristic of a leader: consistency, character, and not changing your mind based on what's going on in the moment. But by that time,
that's the thing. I've always hated this idea that
it's ridiculous.
That flip-flopping is a sign of weakness. No,
not at all.
If you have new evidence, then you should change your fucking mind. You shouldn't be dogmatic. Like we love the idea of a dogmatic. I'm going to do this one thing no matter what, and this is because also voters and political supporters like to know where the candidate is going to vote on a particular thing. They do not like the idea of a candidate that's going to take in the relevant information at the time and make a decision based on the relevant information at the time. They like to support a candidate that they know is going to vote one way, given no matter what. On
certain positions, and then on others perhaps less so. But the fundamental issues, the wedge issue, certainly. But one of the things that Biden certainly could have done, and appeared much more presidential and much more in command, was to have said in one of these times that he was bringing this up, change the subject every time, and if Bernie continued to persist, to say to him, to turn to him, full body, point to him and say, if you really want to get into this, I will tell you what. I will turn this debate into a referendum on you supporting the NRA for the first 15 years or whatever it is of your career. But you know what, Bernie? I'm not going to do that because you have evolved. And thank God. And now we're on agreement. And then turn to the camera and say, that's why we need to unite, the progressive and the moderate, to defeat Donald Trump. And this now is our issue that we all agree with, regardless of our past votes. That would have been much more presidential. He also didn't take care to try the unification and bring the people in because he fucking argued with them. Presidents are elite. They don't argue with people. They say, you can have that argument by yourself. I'm better than that. I don't need to waste time with the American people to argue with you, Senator. That's what he should have said.
Yeah.
Turned to him and called him Senator.
That would have been a really sharp diss, yes.
So Vice President Biden and his team rehearsed. They rehearsed. They know everything. Of course.
And again, because Bernie is so predictable. I was going to say predictable. Yes, he's so predictable.
Totally predictable.
Right.
He signaled. He signaled ahead of time. I have these questions for Joe Biden. What, Joe, is your position on college? What is your position on? And he put 6 of them in a row at a press conference. Why? He was signaling. This is a policy. In the time I have left, I want to move you to the left. So it ends up happening. And Biden moves in his way in 2 different occasions. And what does Bernie do? He's not gracious about it. What does he do instead? Oh, so you're changing your mind. Bernie,
go on, Bern.
Isn't that what you wanted him to do?
Right.
Isn't that what you want him to do? To help your young army of people. How dare you? Biden could have said that. He could have become exasperated and said, looked at the camera, probably looked at the questioners and said, you know what? I got to just say this. I don't understand what's happening here. I saw a press conference where the senator said that these are the things that he wanted, and I've thought long and hard about him, and on 2 occasions, I think it's right. And instead of congratulating me and talking about the unity that we need to beat Donald Trump, he is trying to even undermine this position. I have evolved, just as he has on his votes to support AK-47s in this country. Don't go there. Turn to him again. Don't go there. If I know this, why don't they know this, Eric?
Why aren't you on the every campaign?
Hey, did you see?
Hey, wait.
So Pete Buttigieg open the Kimmel show?
No, I've heard about it. I need to see it.
It's got some great lines. See it. We'll talk about it. It's got some great lines.
So, do you know what we need to pass to counteract the Hyde Amendment? The Dr. Jekyll Amendment. If you've got a little bit more time, I've got some movies I've just seen that I want to talk about.
Just because I have to go to the bathroom real bad, let's give it 2 to 3 minutes. Give me one movie. Which of the 2 did you like better? Let's start with the high end.
Well, given the fact that we are stricken by this pandemic, I've been thinking a lot about our beloved Tom Hanks, who has contracted this virus.
Yes.
And
he and Rita down under where you were.
Is hopefully being treated and will hopefully be okay. But there was a viral thing that went out that turns out to be fake. That proposed that when he was down there in his quarantine, someone had provided him with a volleyball with a face on it to keep him company. So during this time where we need lots of family entertainment, I proposed to my family that we watch the movie Castaway. And it's always enlightening to go back and watch movies that you really enjoyed 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And holy shit, the first 20 minutes of Castaway is so boring. It's if they edit it, if they cut it the way that a modern film would be cut, the 20 minutes would take 5. They need to set
because building up to the plane wreck.
Right, but what they need to set up that this is an important person that works at FedEx who is kind of an asshole and is a little bit overweight and is in love with this woman and is being pressured to marry her, and then as he says goodbye for the last time, gives her what we presume is a wedding ring but is not revealed. And but all of that takes 20 minutes. There's a whole bunch of scenes where they're like talking at Thanksgiving with family members about just bullshit.
FedEx places, and they're at a factory.
It's just
they're in Russia. Yeah, right.
Wow, you remember that they were in Russia? That's crazy. Yeah. What a good memory.
Why? I've seen it 5 times.
Okay, but no, that was super prescient to my wife and I because we had just been in Red Square a year ago.
Right.
But it was just this whole thing, and my kids were just like, oh my God, is something ever going to happen? And I keep telling them, look, something's going to happen.
Okay, hang on.
Something's going to happen.
Yeah, I'll tell you about that movie with my history of it is that it's one of movies, and there are many like this, that when I'm scrolling, looking for the next best thing that I want to watch.
You always stop.
On these sleepless, I'm going to watch it to see where it's at until I feel a little bit like, okay, and that may be 20 minutes because it's so riveting.
Right.
But my favorite scene in the whole movie is when they go ahead a year or two,
yes,
and they show him on the rock.
Yes, exactly. Where he's lost 50 pounds or whatever.
Oh my God,
yes.
that's.
I don't know. I vaguely recall that they might have shot it in reverse.
Yeah, they did.
Where he lost a bunch of weight for the role, shot all the skinny stuff.
Than it is to lose. It's faster.
Right. But yes, and so my kids. First of all, the actual plane crash is a little bit terrifying, more than I would like my kids to go through, but they survived. But
as far as you know.
Yeah, right. We haven't tried to board a plane yet.
They haven't woke up with nightmares.
But the whole, and as soon as that happened, they were riveted. They were like, we have to see what happens. So my wife had not seen the movie, but she
really?
through osmosis had absorbed enough. She knew that at some point he goes crazy and starts talking to a coconut or something. That was what the culture had seeped into her of what this iconic film was about. But great. What just a crazy, amazing film, and the end is super heartbreaking. Like we finished it, and I put the kids to bed like 5 minutes before we started recording. So it's all very current in my psyche.
Gotcha.
The idea of losing the love of your life twice, due to the way shit is.
What do you mean twice?
Well, I mean
because he lost Wilson and then his wife.
No, Wilson wasn't the love of his life.
He
was about to propose to this lovely Helen Hunt woman, and then 4 years went by. And she was married with a kid. And
he lost the same woman twice.
He lost the same woman twice.
Yes. The love of your life twice.
Exactly.
Yes. I should have heard that.
The loves of your life.
Exactly.
Yes, but man, like my kids were so distraught when Wilson gets lost. Like the movie making. The movie makers did such a good job, and my kids immediately picked up on all the times when, like, there was one time where Wilson was lost, but he was like up close in the frame, and Tom Hanks was back in the back looking around for him. And my kids,
because he kicked him.
Well, yeah,
he kicked him out of the cave.
Yeah, wow, you know this movie. And my kids were like, he's right there, and I don't know. It was very very.
It must have been tough to the testing of the suicide scenes were.
So you know what? I had such a clear memory that there was a clear suicide testing scene. But
there was.
No, but there isn't. It's all implied. It's all
No. He ties a rope on a wooden dummy that's made like a man, and he throws it off the cliff, and it breaks and ends up crashing into the rocks. So
you, my friend, are wrong. That is my memory too, but that is not what's in the movie. What's in the movie is he's building his raft, and he's short on rope and he needs more rope, and he goes up. He tells Wilson, "Look, fine, I'll go get that rope." And he climbed up to the top of the mountain, and you see him pull up this wooden thing, and there's a noose on it. And
the rest was, we imagine.
Hold on. And there's a noose on it, and you see him take that rope, and then nothing else is said about it. But then he goes and he talks later at the very end of the movie. There's this really, really long shot of Tom Hanks just speaking, and where he tells the story of how he went up there and he had to test it, and he did this thing, and it created this image in our minds as viewers that was not in the film. And
wow.
I think I've even mentioned on this exact podcast how affecting that is, and how one of my worst nightmares is doing a stupid thing that ends up really crippling me, where there's no hope of rescue.
Well, the other scene that comes to mind, which is similar in its creation, is that when he finally figures out how to get inside the coconuts.
Yes.
Right? That he goes and he picks a lime from a tree and puts the lime in the coconut and drinks it both down. He drinks lime in the coconut and drinks it all down. He puts the lime in the coconut and drinks it all down. Just, woohoo! That was great. And you probably know this, but our listeners may not. That was the inspiration for the Harry Nilsson song of the same name, that he saw that movie and went, woohoo! And they put them both together, and that's how the song came about.
That's good. It ties right back into putting a lime in a drink, like the corona virus.
Which ends up to be a amazing environmental fact of this. Our 52nd episode after a year.
Amazing.
The world is twisting and turning in ways that are hard to understand, and yet one thing we can count on is what? What can we count on?
Well, we can count on our listeners to go to patreon.com/happyhour and give us a little bit of their money that they're hoarding in their bunkers.
Or send us some toilet paper or a hand cleaner or masks, or if you got one, a respirator, and maybe a tent. You know, a germ-free tent of some kind. Here's to you, brah.
Or just a six-pack.
And a six-pack, goes without saying.
Okay.
Almost. Happy anniversary.
I love you, man. We'll keep doing this as long as we survive.
Here's hoping.
Goodbye. Okay, that does it for episode number 52. You can find the show notes at happyhour.fm/052. And if you'd like to contribute to us, you can go to patreon.com/happyhour. And please be safe, wash your hands, stay inside. If you get lonely, there's 51 other episodes. You can go back and listen to them all. We will be there with you. Be safe. See you next week.